You guys hear me? Okay, I think we got everybody. Carmen got in, and I think Henry, right?
Sorry, Sydney, I found the passcode. Thanks.
Is Henry able to make it today, Sydney, or is he?
He just called me about another matter 5 minutes ago and forgot about the meeting, so he should be on. He should be.
Okay.
So we do have a quorum and the Zoom link is running, so whenever you'd like.
Okay. So we'll call to order. We'll call this meeting to order at 4:02 p.m. May 3rd. So we'll start with the land acknowledgement. The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. The land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hati-Wendat-Ronk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Okay, are there any declarations of interest? No? Okay. Adoption of the agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda, please?
I can move.
Okay, thanks, Vikram. And then I need a seconder. Matt, thanks. Okay, so we're good. All right, adoption of the minutes from.
Sorry, Michael, can you just call the question, please?
All those in favor of adopting the agenda? Okay. All right, so then we go to the adoption of the minutes. So the last meeting was Wednesday, February 1st, 2023. Once again, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Vikram, mover, and then we need a seconder. And Matt again. All right, awesome. And all those in favor? Okay, I think we knocked that one out. All right, so let's see, committee business, road safety messaging. So I see, I believe it's Megan was nice enough to join today. Hey, Megan, how's it going? So yeah, I just wanted to bring you on board because road safety messaging is something that's been brought up, and how we get that communication out to the general public is something that we're trying to do with this committee, and we wanted to bring you on as your corporate communications. So first of all, thanks again for coming. We'll let you take the lead if you want. Just want to explain who you are, what you do at the city of Thorold, and then we can talk about the messaging.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Michael. And it's great to meet everybody. So yeah, I'm Megan. I'm the corporate communications community relations specialist here at the city. I started about a year ago as of next week, actually. So I am newer to the team here at the city, and the communications function as a whole is also new to the city of Thorold as well. So looking forward to really supporting a lot of the different committees of council that we have now that everything's up and running this year. I'm happy to be joining your team here. And I did rewatch your previous meeting a few months ago. So I did kind of tune into the discussions that you had around wanting to get some messaging out there. So what I've kind of done on my end, I've just prepared a little chart here on my desktop. And what I was thinking was, we could kind of have a roundtable discussion. I don't know if you've talked about floating some ideas in terms of what types of messages we want to get out to the community. But I know that your next meeting isn't until August, so I can kind of take some notes down here. And I was kind of thinking we could put together some messaging from August through to December, some ideas for monthly messaging that we want to get out into the community. And I can kind of take that back, put some things together on my end, and bring it back to your next meeting.
That sounds wonderful. Yeah, if you have some notes that you want to go through, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly share my screen if that would help to kind of guide the discussion. In terms of where we would see these key messages, again, I know at your previous meeting, you did speak to the city's newsletter. So I'm not sure how many people here on this committee are familiar with the city's newsletter. About maybe 7 or 8 months ago, we launched a e-newsletter called City Hall News. So that goes out monthly to about 600 residents right now, and the subscription base is continuing to grow every month. So we could certainly focus a section on road safety messaging every month, and then also put that messaging out on the social media platforms for the city as well. So the city is active on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, as well as YouTube as well. So we have quite a significant social media presence. We're active every day on each channel. So we would look to craft some customized graphics specific to all of the key messages that we would put out in organic posts. We would also share those to our Instagram and Facebook stories. And then again, in our monthly newsletter.
Okay, awesome. Yes, because Carmen, please go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but Sydney, Henry just texted me. He's having trouble getting in. If you could send him another link, please.
Sure, I'll resend that.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's good.
So again, I'm not sure if you've had any roundtable discussions in terms of identifying some key messages that we think are important to get out to the community. But I was thinking what would be the most effective is we could kind of work through the months of August to December. And if we could maybe focus our messaging on kind of relevant things that are happening seasonal wise. For example, for September, back to school month, maybe we want to do crosswalk safety, that kind of thing. So I think that might be helpful to guide the discussion.
But that's a really good idea. One of the things that I would like to kind of get out there, and we've discussed this, Mr. Webb, a couple of times, is like the e-bikes, the scooters, and the stuff like that. I mean, if he didn't tell me, I wouldn't know, right? But not everyone's able to come to these meetings. So that's really one of the ones I'd like to push out to the citizens, is just let them know, hey, this is the rules with e-bikes and scooters. This is what you can or can't do. Because if I didn't hear from him, I wouldn't know myself. That's at least one that I would like to push out.
And do we have those resources, or does that content exist anywhere that we could pull from?
That's a very good question. Mr. Webb, do you have anything?
I'm not sure. I'd have to check with our social media people whether they actually have put something together in the past on them. I'm sure there's things out there. The MTO runs spots on e-bikes and things like that, but I can make an inquiry and see.
Okay, thanks. I'll do some research as well on my end, and maybe the MTO has some information that we could use as well. So one other point with, I know that you guys have a social media presence, which is great, but a lot of, the average age of Thorold is probably pretty high, and not a lot of people have social media or even have email, right? I mean, I know this going with the Broderick reconstruction, we're going door to door with people to talk to people, because not everyone is able to have emails and things of that nature. Something that I was thinking about is you have the city newsletter, which is great, but is it possible to have newsletters in people's mailboxes, or is that just a cost sink that we can't even go there? Is that an option?
I mean, it's certainly an option as you're speaking to the Broderick example, and Sean could speak more to this, but typically the engineering department will deliver the hard copy notices. I think the radius, Sean, is around 220 kilometers in the area surrounding the project, or something similar to that.
Not kilometers.
Oh, yeah, sorry. And then in turn, we also issue the notice digitally as well. So the same hard copy notice that goes out to those residents in the surrounding areas will also get posted to our website. We have a subscription tool on the city's website. It's a new feature that we've kind of rolled out in the last few months. So residents are actually able to subscribe to receive notices on the city's corporate website. And you can actually subscribe per category. So if you want to subscribe to receive media releases, but you're not interested in receiving information about events, people are able to kind of tailor what information they want to receive. So it's really user friendly in that sense. And again, people can register for that, not necessarily needing to be social media savvy, as long as they have access to internet. Then again, that's another type of communication method that we could also utilize. I mean, it would come down to the budget, I guess, in terms of if we have the cost to produce those hard copy materials.
Vikram, go ahead, please.
So Michael's got a very good idea about the elderly not being accessible to the social media. But I've seen a lot of elderly listening to the radio. Do you have any links with the radio guys? We could just have a small bulletin being spoken over the radio over the weekend when people listen to the radio.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anytime that the city issues any sort of public announcement or media release, it will get sent directly to our local media distribution list of about 30 to 35 local journalists and radio and television channels as well. And typically the city gets really good pickup on all of our local stations, including our radio stations as well. So that's definitely an option.
Carmen, go ahead.
Through you. Yeah, and also another thing that's not a bad idea is to piggyback off the when they get tax assessments or tax bills, water bills.
Water bills.
That's another way to communicate. It's, the stamp's already being paid for. So you just throw a piece of paper in and communicate anything you have to. So that's an option too. Thank you.
Thanks, Carmen. That's also something I was thinking about. Matt, please go ahead.
Yeah, another option might be using the fire department as they walk and canvass neighborhoods a few times a year, definitely on Fire Prevention Week in the fall. I don't know if, the cross communication might be a little confusing for people or if it's too much information at once, but that's another idea. They're already out walking the neighborhoods, so you might be able to utilize that.
That's a really good idea. Thanks, Matt. So I don't know if it's like a logistic question or not, and this may maybe go to Sean. Are we allowed or can we put like a newsletter or documentation in the water bill? Like, is that a possibility? Or does it have to be strictly for that? Like, is there anything stopping us from doing it? I guess is the question.
Were
I
you,
think that could be
Chair,
like-
were you asking myself or were you asking Sean that question?
Either or, I'm not sure who's able to answer it. So Megan, please go ahead. You can answer first if you like.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly an option for the future. I think step one is kind of identifying from here the key messaging that we're thinking about putting out, and then kind of when I come back in the next when I come back to join your next meeting later this year, I would suggest maybe we could kind of reevaluate all of the different methods that we could use, and certainly for the future we could look to put some of that messaging in those bills that go out to all residents.
Okay, fantastic. I'll open it up to anybody else have any comments about this one. Please go ahead.
Yeah. What about, Megan, what about schools and how do we propagate this in the schools? Because Catch Them Young is a way that we catch them in school.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I think that's a fantastic idea. We're well connected here at the city with the schools and with the local high school as well. So we could certainly look to engage with their teams and provide that messaging so that on a monthly basis, whatever the direction is here from the committee, whether we want to put out some joint messaging with the city or with the schools, or if we want to simply provide the messaging to the schools for the students from the committee, we could certainly think more about what that would kind of look like. And yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea.
Anybody else have any other input? Okay. So yeah, that was some really, really good ideas. Thanks everybody for the input. I think, with some of these ideas, I think we have a really good idea of moving forward, and we'll just have to concentrate on what messaging we want to do. So thanks everybody for your input. Okay, let's move to 7.2, removal of holding 2 South Main Street. I think that's you, Mr. Dunsmore.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, just to interrupt before you
Please.
proceed. Did you want to quickly go over some suggested key messaging for, the months of August through to December for me to take away, or did you want to do that at your follow-up meeting, your next meeting?
Suggested messaging. Well, the e-bike scooter thing is definitely the one on my mind, and I'll do some more research to get that. So that would be one, especially in August when everyone's going to be out and about, right? In the summertime, people are going to be about. Does anybody else have any specific messaging that they're thinking about that we'd like to be able to get out to the community?
I think we'd take a look at what you've got, Megan, for sure.
Okay, yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair, I've just noted the e-bikes and the scooters here for the month of August.
Okay.
And then for September, back to school safety, crossing guard safety, that kind of stuff, I think it makes total sense for September. So for October, November, December, maybe if as a committee, we want to think a little bit further about that.
Go ahead.
Through you, Michael. I think bike safety would be an immediate concern. I know we're doing the bike safety with the active transportation committee. They're putting on the bike safety at all the schools. So just, even wearing a helmet, staying to the right and, following the rules of the road. I don't know. But I think bike safety, if Megan, if you can get something in like sooner than later, I don't, you know what I'm saying, for the beginning of summer, is that possible? Or are you saying you're not going to start it till September?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I was planning to take all of the feedback from the committee here and kind of put together a bit of a content calendar to bring back at August for the committee to review and provide final feedback before kind of proceeding with putting out any messaging. That said, with the bike safety, I know last year, shortly after I started at the city, I worked quite closely with Marie Claire with the other committee, and the city did support in a number of ways for communications to kind of get that messaging out with the partnership program with Heart Niagara. So in the meantime, the city will certainly be putting that messaging out. We put out a formal media release. We shared to social the importance of the bike safety in partnership with the schools that worked on that program too. So in the meantime, we'll certainly proceed with that, same as what we did last year. And then in terms of our specific content for this committee, that was the intention, was to bring it back for August.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm meeting with Heart Niagara tomorrow to get that ball rolling. Okay.
Oh, so maybe through you, Mr. Chair, if you feel free to reach out. Again, like I know it was Marie Claire who looped me into everything last year, but for sure, the city is happy to support for communications for that project. So feel free to reach out offline on that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll keep you CC'd moving forward. Awesome. Anybody else have anything else? Are we okay to move on? Okay. All right. So 7.2 DS 20-2023 removal of holding 2 South Main Street. Mr. Dunsmore, I believe this is you.
Okay. This is a item that was referred to this committee from council. There's a development of a subdivision of a couple lands and putting up a few extra houses down on Bigger and South Main Street in Port Robinson East. I have a drawing if you guys would like to see it. I believe you guys have all seen the traffic report that came out as part of this. The site located at Bigger in South Main, a couple new driveways that you can see as you get down to the appendix of the report, and council referred to you, I guess, to discuss options such as stop sign requirements and whatnot. I think what we would like at the end of this meeting is some sort of either modified recommendations for the developer to install or approval to move forward with the rezoning. That's all I have to say about it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dunsmore. Yeah, we can open up the roundtable if people, I'm not sure if that was sent yesterday. Hopefully everybody had a chance to take a look at it and open up for comments. Mr. Droz?
Thank you. Through you, Michael. I just wanted to ask Sean. Sean, are you good with this development? Are you confident with all that they've done within the traffic study and the just the neighbors and that? Are you in support of it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Any concerns at all, or?
No, the
Okay.
traffic volumes are so low in that area. I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the numbers and it's very, very small. I don't see an issue from a traffic perspective. I didn't get into all the nitty gritty details, but I do see like there is currently a stop sign on Bigger Road right beside the South Main Street, but I don't see a stop sign on South Main Street onto Bigger Road. Is that something that's in the plan, or is that something that we'd have to ask for?
I think that would be something you would have to ask for.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that would be my only thing from my side is to probably have a stop sign there. But other than that, I think everything's on that document is fine with me, and I don't have any objections on that. Mr. Droz, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. Through you, Michael. Sean, is there any issues with sidewalks here, or are they already there? I just can't see from the. I do have a copy of what you showed. Is there any concern with sidewalks, or are there sidewalks?
Well, through you, Mr. Chair, the entire area is a semi-urban cross section, and probably would require sidewalks at some point in time. I just don't know that should fall to the developer. It should really be done as part of the reconstruction of these roads at some point in time. It is an urban area. It does, at some point in time, we'll have to put curbs and storm sewers and sidewalks down those roads. At this point in time, I think it's premature to make that happen.
Yeah, because it came up at last night's meeting just about sidewalks, trying to say that the developer should be responsible rather than the taxpayer. But this is such a small development, it might not infringe on this type of bill.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
Thank
exactly right.
Matt, I believe you had a question.
Yeah, my only question was obviously the scope of this traffic study was extremely narrow. And in that section of the city, there's two roads in or out, right? There's River Street to the north and to the south that connects with Bigger. I don't know if there's plans for more subdivisions in that area, but it's not really pertinent to this. I wonder if moving forward, the developer needs to take that into account, that there really is one entrance to this area. So as development continues, or like I said, I don't know if there's more development, but that might be something to keep an eye on. It's the first thing I noticed, right? You have just one road in or out.
Thanks, Matt. Go ahead, Mr. Dunsmore.
To Matt's comment, we agree 100%, and we believe that that's a problem as well. As time moves forward and we start reconstructing these roads, that'll be one of the things that the city itself needs to deal with. This development happened many years ago, and this little vision that they're doing is really the only intensification that's going to happen in there. There's a little bit of property just south of Bigger Road that could eventually be developed, but as part of our strategy moving forward for this whole area, we should be adding a second emergency access, but that'll be something the city will have to take on themselves.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dunsmore. Matt, you good? Okay.
Oh, thanks. That's great.
Anybody else have any comments?
Michael, I don't know. Are you seeing me or?
I just see a black screen,
Henry.
Henry.
Oh, okay. You guys are coming in and out, and I'm having some technical difficulties here. It says my internet's unstable, but just want or developing little areas. if we can see that, or is anyone hearing me?
Just catching bits and pieces here. Mr. Dunsmore, go ahead.
I was just asking if anybody else was hearing Henry. Is it possible to type your question, Henry?
I think there is a call-in number, right, Sydney, on the, if he wants to call in, that might have some better luck there.
If you give me the number, I'll call right in right now.
Okay.
I'll just pull up the number quickly. So the telephone number should be 204-272-7920.
Is that a long distance number?
It says it's for Canada.
Oh, so I don't have to dial a 1, just a 204?
I believe so.
Now we can hear you, Henry.
Yeah.
Yes. All the information for the call-in was in the Zoom link that I just forwarded to you at the beginning of this meeting. That has all the details.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to him as well.
It's a long distance call. That's if you can't hear me, that's fine. Might I believe? Just concerning that, I think we need to keep an eye on that intersection.
Yeah, and we will do that for sure, Henry.
Okay.
The traffic done on the next is that area also.
Henry, if you phone me at my office at 227-3535, I can put you on speakerphone. You really are cutting in and out, man.
Okay, we'll give him a couple minutes, see if he can call Mr. Dunsmore there.
Oh, I'm just trying to tie into Sean Dunsmore.
It's coming.
He's on a Zoom meeting. He asked me to call him in because I'm having answer me to him. I believe he's on.
My extension is 290.
Yeah.
290. Okay.
Hello, Henry.
Oh, hey, Sean.
Hey, how are you?
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Commotion here.
Oh, I just lost you.
You still there?
No, I just lost you, man.
Oh.
Did you try again?
Hello, you reached the office of Danforth Financial Services.
Sean, if you could hear me, call my number back again. I was trying to get through the city, but I couldn't get to your extension.
Okay, I just called you, man.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Henry.
Thanks. I recalled you back, but I couldn't get to your.
Hear me.
Yep, no problem. Can Can you mute your computer now, though? Because we might cause ourselves some grief here.
Yeah, no,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Okay. Can everybody hear him?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, they can all hear you. Here we go.
Excellent. Thanks, Sean, for your help on that. Yeah, what I was just saying is, hang on. I'm hearing myself, so I'm trying to mute.
You got to turn your volume down. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna listen. I'm having some major difficulties with technology here. So my point was, I was just trying to get across that it was mentioned by Matt that that's the intersection to get into the housing area, and then the reason it was referred by council to this committee is because there's an overall traffic study being done with potential enhancements for safety reasons, and this was part of it.
Yeah, and I believe that's not the next item on our list, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, exactly. So this wasn't specific by itself, but it was more of connecting to the next report.
Okay, so I guess we should go to the next report then. So we have 7.3 on the agenda, PWCS 41-2023. That's Port Robertson East Traffic Safety Review Update. Mr. Dunsmore, I think this one's yours.
Okay, through you, Mr. Chair. We had a public meeting a little while ago, and I'd like to tell you the date, but I just can't remember it off the top of my head. For some traffic safety improvements on Cambie/River Street in Port Robinson East. At that meeting, we had some significant feedback. We had quite a few people show up and give feedback to the whole design. We've used that feedback at this point in time to create a new design for what we're hoping to achieve out there. I have a drawing of it, just for everybody's knowledge. It's hot off the press, like it just got finished today. So here we go. Can everybody see that? No. Can everybody see it now?
Yep.
All right. So when we went out to the PIC, we had some speed humps in the area along Cambie, another speed hump kind of down towards Bridge Street there. And then I believe there was another speed hump just before Cross Street. We got some feedback, and generally the one on Cambie, they really didn't like very much. But there was a suggestion to create a three-way stop at this bend, which is a little awkward, but we think we can manage it, and we sketched up what it might look like. And then as you go further south, we continue to make a four-way stop at the corner of Bridge and Cambie River. And then also go all the way down to Bigger, which is the intersection we were just talking about on the other project, or right around the intersection we were just talking about the other project, and creating a all-way stop at that intersection as well. The intent with this project is to go back to a PIC in the very near future. So go back out there and have more conversation with the local residents about what they would like. If you would like to see more information about it, it's on our website under traffic calming. And it talks about all the input that we received in the first PIC. And then we'll put the email or notifications out there for the second PIC as well. Okay, that's all I have to say about that, I think.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dunsmore. Open it up to conversation. If anyone has any questions or comments?
Can I speak, Michael?
Yeah, go ahead, Henry.
Yeah, I saw the picture. No, it's excellent work that the staff, city staff and John, you're doing out there and dealing with the citizens' concerns. One of the suggestions was, I know we've ordered from a city standpoint some traffic monitoring signs. And we're talking, I know I talked to one of the residents there, and I was going to offer the suggestion if this could be our first site of trying to install those signs and collecting data on speeds of vehicles. And I know we can forward that on to the Niagara Regional Police once we have some data there. Is that something we can accomplish on ahead of another public meeting regarding some of the suggestions here?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I don't think we can achieve that before the next public meeting. I think we've done counting on this area already once. So we had somebody out there with speed counting and whatnot back about a month ago. Those signs that you were talking about in terms of the data collection and stuff like that, those are on order right now, and I suspect they won't be in till late in the summer. So we were hoping to move forward a little faster than that on this, and maybe have these signs installed by the beginning of July. That was kind of our goal.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't want to hold if that's going to, the enhancements, if they're going to get there before the signage is more to educate people about the speeds that they're going than necessary collecting of the data. So yeah, if we could do the enhancements regarding next public meeting, what you've proposed there, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Once, I guess once the signs are available, if you can let John, let the committee know that we have the signs now, and we can start sort of picking or thinking of locations of where we're putting these signs up, because they are temporary ones that we might run like a 3-month trial at a location. And again, it's just to identify people that, you know, if it's a 50 zone, they're, you know, if they're driving 70, you'll flash 70 there. So it's to inform more of the individuals that they're speeding and going excessive. But I thought this would be, because of the issues that were out there, I thought this would be a good starting point. But if we can get some of the enhancements done prior to it, I'm good with that. But I'd like to sort of have a plan from the committee of some suggestions of other areas of the city then where we can install the signs once we receive them.
Okay, I think that's an excellent idea, Henry. We will certainly let you know when they're in and ready to be mobilized, and then we'll certainly be coming back to you to get recommendations as to where to deploy them.
Okay, that's great. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Henry. Mr. Dunsmore, how many of these are we going to get for the city?
I think two sets, so 4 signs, and I believe they're going to be on little trailers that we can move them around and deploy them and remove them. We've had them in the past in the city. The unfortunate thing about it is when we deploy them, some people go and find a way to deposit them nicely into a let's say the canal, if not other locations. So, and they cost us about $10,000 a sign. So having them in the canal is not a positive adventure. So we think we've got a solution to that.
Okay.
We'll restrict that, but we'll see.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dunsmore. I mean, yeah, it looks like you guys are getting residents' feedback, and if you're putting in some stop signs there to help slow traffic, I think you guys are doing a bang up job on that one. Do we have anyone else have some comments about the safety review update? Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Dunsmore. Let's go to 7.4, the agenda, RSC 2-2023, and then we have traffic calming on Queen Street South. Mr. Dunsmore, I think this one's on you as well.
Yes. I just wanted to let you know that we did a traffic review. We did a traffic counting on Queen Street south of Highway 58, between 58 and Beaver Dams Road. The traffic counting, and it came back that it was not warranted to continue the traffic calming because the speed was at a point where the 85th percentile was going 52 kilometers an hour, I believe. 52.86 kilometers an hour. And those that means that it's not warranted to do traffic calming in that area. So we will be sending out a letter to everybody who petitioned for the traffic calming that we have finalized, and we will not be continuing any further with that traffic calming.
Okay, and then just for everybody's information, what was kind of some of the main concerns? Is that just Queen Street south the street, or like kind of the area by the corner there?
I think the concern was that there was a lot of speeding in that area. Our counting says that that's actually not true. I will say that there was one person, one car on going up over 80 kilometers an hour, which is excessive in that area for sure. But it really was one car, not a whole bunch. At the same time, there is a bit of more demand, bit more volume in that area because of the new subdivision, Artisan Ridge. But we don't believe that we should be putting speed humps in or whatever for the one speeder.
Okay, I'll open up for questions. Mr. Droz, go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Michael. Yeah, I agree, Sean. It's such a short stretch. I can't see how people can accelerate that fast. So I'm really surprised even about the guy going 80. Sean, any word on, I know I met once with the regional police, the region, and some residents there about, they discussed about putting a three-way stop there right at the end of, at the corner of South Queen and Beaver Dams. Any more consideration about that? Just because of the speeders on Beaver Dams.
Oh, the regional at the corner of Queen and Beaver Dams. That conversation was referred to the region as it's a regional road, and we can't put an all-way stop without their action has been, let's say, slow on that front. They've been having some personnel issues, and we've reached out to see, but we haven't had an update in terms of what they plan on doing in that situation. They were going to do some counting and make sure that that intersection was behaving safely, but I haven't seen any results from that, and it was a while ago. It's got to be a year ago. So I will follow up with them, and I'll send out an email to everybody once I get an update from them.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Carmen. Henry, I think I see you on Zoom now. Did you have any questions?
Yeah, I just on that Beaver Dams Road, if they're doing a study, it's a pretty lengthy, because I think there's no stop sign for a long time on that road. So even where the new Artisan Ridge entrance is, I don't believe there's a stop sign there either. So that even might be a better location to have a stop sign to slow some speeders down. If not, they really come past Collier Road, and they have a lot of leeway going through that section. So by the time they hit Queen Street, they are moving quite rapidly. So not necessarily maybe a three-way stop at Queen Street, but anywhere along that stretch that might be beneficial. But when you're talking to the region, hopefully they're looking at the whole road all the way from Pine all the way down to past to Collier Road. There's no stop sign anywhere there, and that's where there's an extensive amount of speeding.
Certainly we can do that. We can open it up to that wider range. We'll certainly talk to them about that. Yep.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, thanks. Carmen, go ahead.
Through you, Michael. Yeah, I think, Henry, the issue there was more of a blind spot on that subtle hill that's there. I think that's why the residents were asking for one there, but you make a good point. You can use one almost anywhere, even at the entrance to Artesian Ridge, just because I know a childhood friend of mine got hit head on right in front of the old wreckers there at where Lynn's Paving is now. and he was hurt badly. I think the person that crossed the center line that was speeding was hurt badly and in the hospital for quite a while. I don't know if he still is, but yeah. But anyway, anything along there will help. Thank you.
Yeah, my point to that is if the region's going to look at, just don't look at one spot, look at the whole road and see what they can do with the recommendation. It may end up being that's the best location if there's a blind spot there, but sometimes if you don't tell the region to look at the whole thing, they don't. So I just want to make sure that they're clear on that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys. Any other comments? Matt, go ahead.
I understand that there's no recommendation for traffic calming measures on this street, but what this did remind me of, I think it might have been our last meeting, or it might have also been last iteration of this committee, but an overall 40 km/h speed limit reduction for city streets. Sure, we have the data that suggests only a few cars were actually going 50 km/h, but I understand the concern from the residents, right? It's the perception of speed. 50 km/h on a street like Queen Street South, which I believe has a park just on the north tip of it on the east side there. I understand their concerns, right? So yeah, the 85th percentile was traveling the speed limit, but the speed limit is maybe perceived to be too high to begin with. So maybe we should look at that issue again, 40 km/h citywide.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Sydney, can we put that on the agenda for the next meeting? So then we can have an open conversation about it. Carmen, please go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Michael. Yeah, I brought that up last term on the, I think on both committees, the active transportation and road safety. Sean, what is the speed limit there now? Is it 50 or 60?
It's 50.
It's 50. Okay, yeah. And I think part of my intention, and I wouldn't want to overhaul every sign in Thorold, but part of it would be is what's it called when the sign needs to be replaced? Attrition or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I don't think it's something that, you know, it'll be too costly to go start taking down every sign. But I agree with you, Matt. I think every, not major, well, I think almost every street, especially in the urban area, Thorold needs to be down to 40. And then one of my reasoning is if they do get caught speeding, the penalty will be a lot greater. It might deter them. I don't know, but they say you get hit at 40 km/h, you got a really good chance to survive. 60, you're going to be hurt bad, and 80, you're more than likely going to get killed. So that was my rationale, and I brought that forward. And yeah, it'd be great to bring it up, Michael, and maybe even bring it to council eventually.
Yeah, well, that's my point. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Dunsmore.
On that topic, I know it's a little off of what we were supposed to be talking about, but the city of St. Catharines right now is actually going through a pilot project, kind of in the north end. They took a whole community or subdivision, I guess would be the best way to describe it, and they've reduced it in that area. Maybe we, instead of reinventing the wheel, we can go back and see some of the findings from them and try to use that as if you will, justification for moving us forward.
That's a wonderful idea. Can the city ask the city of St. Catharines for that kind of data? And then
Yep.
maybe, if possible, whoever was in charge of that project maybe we could invite them to speak on it next meeting.
For sure, we can certainly do that.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. D'Angelo, go ahead.
No, I think I was just going to comment. That's an excellent idea, and we can also look at maybe piloting that in Thorold to see what issues that would derive from doing that. So if we see how they piloted it, we could sort of mimic it here, not necessarily roll it out to the whole community until we know it's going to work and it doesn't create more problems than it fixes. So I think that's a great suggestion, and I'm glad Tom brought that up.
Vikram, go ahead. No, you're muted.
Through you, Mr. Chair, Sean, I'd like to understand one thing. How does one decide the speed on a road, is it dependent on the width of the road as well? The more wider the roads, the better the speed can be in a city area, or is it a city area should only be between 40 and 50?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yeah, the city roads, almost without exception, are 50 kilometers an hour. That was a standard back in the day. As a matter of fact, the Highway Traffic Act just got changed a couple of years ago to actually allow the reduction to 40. Some rural roads, there's a very few in number in the city of Thorold that are actually 60. After that, the city doesn't own any roads with higher speed limits than that. Those become under the jurisdiction of the region and or the Ministry of Transportation with the higher speed rates. So in 99% of the cases in Thorold, they are 50 kilometers an hour.
My understanding through the chair was, let's say that there's a road which is, let's say, 100 feet wide, right? And there's a road which is, let's say, 60 feet wide. Would that play a role in the speed limit in that area?
Yes-ish. What we actually do is we classify the roads based on volume. That volume then identifies, it's all written up in our transportation master plan. That volume then dictates how wide the road is going to be, and then that volume also dictates what the speed limit is going to be. Again, the city of Thorold really only owns roads up to a collector, and a collector may have 2 lanes each direction at kind of the maximum, and even then we would still assign the speed limit at 50 kilometers an hour.
My idea was that if there's a particular rule regarding the width of the road and the speed, and before we really start to decide whether it should be a 40 or a 50, maybe we should keep that in mind just in case somebody pops up with a question regarding why we're slowing down the limits, in public interest. So we should have that kind of thing ready at hand to give them a proper answer at that time.
Yeah, I would suggest that the volume of the road is probably a better indicator than the width of the road.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Very good question. Thanks, Vikram. So I know we kind of veered off topic, but is everyone okay with the with the traffic comment on Queen Street South, or is there any other comments? Sydney, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Sean, please correct me if I'm wrong, but based off of the flow chart I have, I believe there needs to be a formal motion by the Road Safety Committee to not continue with the traffic study and that the letter be sent to the residents.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, so is everyone in favor of not, well, I guess, yeah. So is everyone in favor with Mr. Dunsmore's recommendation of not slowing down the roads for Queen Street South?
Sorry, can you just have a mover and seconder for the motion before we call it?
Okay, yeah, I'm terrible at this, my bad. Okay, so can I get a mover for the recommendation?
I can move it.
Okay, Vikram, okay. And can we get a seconder to recommend the recommendation? I guess Matt, go ahead and beat me to it. Okay. So I think with that, is everyone in agreement with Mr. Dunsmore's recommendation of not moving forward with the traffic calming? Okay, we're good, Sydney? Okay, awesome. All right, moving on to 7.5, my favorite. Oh, sorry, Mr. Dunsmore, go ahead.
Can we go back one to the intersection of Bigger and South Main Street? I also think we need a formal motion to accept the traffic recommendations.
Okay, yeah. So let's get can we get a mover for the recommendation for Bigger Road? So I'll move that one. And then can we get a seconder for the recommendation for Bigger Road? Vikram. Okay, thanks. Is everyone in favor with Mr. Dunsmore recommendation of proceeding with the South Main Street development? Okay, thanks. Then Sydney, maybe for next meeting, maybe we can, if I need to do that for these type ones, just let me know. All right, thank you. Mr. Droz, you have a comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, just a question to Sydney. Sydney, in the past, I know this year they said we're allowed to vote as a counselor on these committees, but are we allowed to first and second things too? Or, oh, we are. Okay.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, counselors are able to make motions, move them seconder, and vote. So everything that a committee member can do, a counselor can do.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for clearing that up. Okay. All right. So let's go to 7.5, the Broderick Avenue Road reconstruction. I mean, obviously it's my favorite topic, but I just wanted to bring this forward, not to jump on what happened in the last PIC. I think the city and the residents are kind of all aligned, and we'll let that proposal come out whenever that's done. My main concern was how we got to the 4 phases, and then for some reason we decided to shrink the road so that I guess the reasoning is smaller is safer. I'm not sure I agree with that concept. I mean, when I'd grown up and we were doing the driver's ed training and everything, and you always want to be aware of parked cars on the street, right? Because you never know if someone's going to come out. So I'm not sure if that philosophy is sound. So my question would be, Mr. Dunsmore, why or what happened and why was that recommendation recommended? Why is smaller safer in your mind?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this is something that actually came from our transportation master plan.
Okay.
The transportation master plan goes about setting out widths for different classifications of roads. And it actually is a reduction. And what we do these days is set maximum widths, not minimum widths. Back in the 80s, they used to set minimum widths, and therefore the roads got really wide. Part of the idea of making the roads a little narrower is in some ways to make the driver less comfortable, which usually leads to them slowing down in most cases to eliminate some of the traffic control that we have to have. A good example of that philosophy is down in Port Robinson Estates, the new subdivision. That's kind of the first one where we kind of put a maximum width on the roads. And yes, there's a lot of parked cars around, but we believe it is helping to eliminate a lot of the traffic accidents because people are just simply going slower.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dunsmore. Anyone have any comments or questions about either the street in general or just smaller, safer?
Well, just to update.
Go ahead, Henry. Yeah.
Just to update, there was a public information session held last week where the residents spoke regarding their concerns, and they well, it was pretty unanimous from the people that were there that they wanted it to be maintained very similar with a boulevard and allow parking on the street. So I know the city's working on another conceptual drawing that will get out to the residents. So as that process moves forward, us as a committee should still be mindful of what's happening there. And there still may, after it being done, require some traffic calming measures. Because usually when the roads, like right now, it's a very bumpy road, so probably not too many people drive on it. Once it becomes a nice smooth road, speeds usually increase, and then also traffic increases. So yes, it's great that it's going to be done, but there also might be problems later with some traffic management on the road. So just for us to be aware of that.
Yeah, Mr. Dunsmore.
I have a copy of the conceptual drawing, as I'll show it to you.
Oh boy. Okay.
So I believe that is the accepted cross section at this point in time. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
I can. Thank you.
Okay. So I believe that's the one we're just we're gonna touch base with the public just one more time. And I believe they're gonna go out and have some mailings with that information on it. And then we'll finish up the design and get it out, get it constructed, hopefully starting sometime this summer.
So without me taking out my measuring stick and measuring everything, is these dimensions the same as it is currently? Is
It's
that safe to say?
maybe just a touch narrower. Right now, as I understand the road, and it's each laneway on each side of the center median there is about 7 meters. Right here, it's 6.9.
Oh, so it's just like, okay.
Only a touch smaller. You won't even notice the difference.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you very much for sharing that. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments about the reconstruction? Mr. Droz, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm fully supportive. I was, Henry and I were at the meeting. Michael, you were there. Yeah, fully supportive of residents. I grew up playing on that street with a whole bunch of people my age, and yeah, I think maintaining it's the best thing you could do. Just FYI, I just got a text from my wife. She asked me if I was on my way home yet, because she said, because I got to go down Beaver Dams Road, and she said there's a big accident there, 4-car accident, and there's major delays. So just to let everybody know. I don't know, Sean, you're still at the office. I don't know which way you go, but it's supposed to be a 4-car accident there, just to give everybody a heads up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. Any other questions or comments? Going once, going twice, 3 times. Sold. Okay. And then 7.6 on the agenda, Regent Street parking. So who brought that one? Was that okay, Mr. Dunsmore, go ahead.
I had a drawing for that too, but you're gonna have to bear with me to see if I can.
You're pretty quick on the trigger, man. No worries, we'll wait.
I had the other ones open. That one I for whatever reason don't have open.
No worries.
This is related to some input we received from a member of the public who lives on Regent Street. He's having some difficulties, specifically when the park is being utilized for baseball, that the parking along the north side of the road is interfering with his ability to get in and out of his driveway, because Regent Street is a relatively narrow road in the 6.5 meter width. And with that parking in there, it makes it difficult for him to get in and out of his driveway, specifically with his boat trailer and so forth. So he's been requesting the removal of the parking along Regent Street. The problem we have with that is that during baseball season and when that baseball diamond is being used, regardless of whether we restrict the parking or not, we believe that there's going to be people parking there, even if we give out tickets. So what we did is we came up with a slightly different solution to that, and that is to put some perpendicular parking, as you can see on the drawing. So I just wanted to let everybody know that our intent is to move forward with this, and given a few decisions that have to be made on the process, get that constructed sometime this summer.
Very cool.
Okay.
And that Oh, sorry, Mr. Dancho, go ahead.
Yeah, I just making a comment on that. I just find that anyone who parks along that area is sort of putting their car at risk because that's where all the foul balls go. So I don't understand why people park along that in the first place unless they don't value their vehicle. There's plenty of parking. I'm a frequent user of the park in terms of coaching. I park at the library and just walk down. My car will never get hit by a baseball. And I know others park at the school. It'll never get hit by a baseball. So I know it looks really nice on paper, but depending on the cost and depending on the logistics, I just find it odd people parking in that little stretch there because of the risk that they pose with their vehicle. So I look forward more to the report and seeing if there's other avenues of dealing with that as opposed to adding additional parking in a spot that's not really good, because then if we put that there, will the city then be responsible for any damaged vehicles resulting of baseballs because we now have parking there and we're saying it's okay to park there. So just something to think about when the report comes forward.
Mr. Dunsmore, go ahead.
Just as an aside on that, we agree with you that baseball problem exists. As a matter of fact, the gentleman who put forward the complaint also complained about the fact that the baseballs end up on his front lawn and house and roof and so forth and so on. And he would like us to solve that problem too. So I'm not sure we could solve that problem, but we are working on that as well.
I think you sign up for it when you live there, don't you? Yeah.
The diamond was there first, so.
But yes, it was. Just a comment on that. I mean, you go to golf courses, they have the large netting and stuff. Like, I'm not saying that should be an option or can be an option, but is that something that you guys thought about as an engineering team, that maybe you could put some netting up?
Of course, the problem is the cost associated with it.
Yeah, it's probably big. Okay.
Yeah, I know that down on Hunters Point Golf Course, where they were trying to put one up along the edge of the 406, their estimates were in the $2 million range for that netting. So it might be prohibitively expensive.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Mr. D'Angelo, go ahead.
Yeah, the other thing, golf balls tend to go in a straight direction. Ball balls go wherever they want to go. There's they go high and they go wide. They go all over the place. So it's a little bit harder to control a foul ball than a golf ball. But I'll leave that in staff's hands and try to come up with a good plan to solve everyone's issue on that street.
Awesome. Thanks, Mr. D'Angelo. Any other questions or comments on the Regent Street parking, Adam? Okay. So yeah, that'll open up the roundtable discussion. If there's something that isn't on the agenda that you guys would like to speak about, please go ahead. Vikram, go ahead.
Through the chair, Sean, we live in South Thorold, and Davis Road is becoming a very highly popular road, I believe. Everything from Davis Road to Lundy's Lane is becoming highly trafficated now, especially the bend next to the lake. That is an area where I've seen vehicles speeding down. I'm not saying slow down the limit there, but I've seen quite a lot of vehicles kind of skidding off around the bend. Is there a way that you can have something like to break the speed out there, maybe some humps there or something? Because during the snow season, I did see a couple of vehicles kind of almost going into these side beams. So I don't know whether you guys have been notified about that or you've seen it happening, but I did. So.
Mr. Dunsmore, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we're aware. The one difficulty with that is it's actually an MTO road, and it is one of those roads that we really do need to work through, and the MTO has a slightly different view of their roads. Their road is very much about getting goods and people through as quickly as possible. City of Thorold, because we're the local roads, the road has a whole bunch of other uses other than just for vehicles. So traffic calming on Ministry roads is very challenging, shall we say.
Right. And I have a similar question again through the chair. The road linking South Thorold, the Barker Parkway, down to Lundy's Lane. There's a small roundabout there, which is a single car roundabout. And Lundy's Lane is 80 kilometers per hour. And I guess Barker's Parkway is around 50 kilometers per hour. And there are no stop signs close by. And what happens is I've seen people not really respecting the rule of the roundabouts, and they just zip through the roundabouts coming through the Lundy's Lane. So it's kind of dangerous when you turn from the Barker Parkway into Lundy's Lane. So could we put some kind of warning signs there, or I don't know?
You want the warning signs on Barker Parkway?
Maybe Lundy's Lane saying there's a crossroads up ahead, or there's a roundabout up ahead, slow down. If I, it's quite a small roundabout.
Yeah.
Had it been bigger roundabout, it's okay. So by the time the car enters the roundabout, the other one who's not supposed to be there is already entering. So yeah, there's a couple of close misses that I can see every day actually.
Okay, again, I don't mean to push this off, but it's Highway 20 is a Ministry road, which means that intersection is actually Ministry. It was designed according to the Ministry regulations for those types of things. I believe there is some warning on the entrances in every direction. But we could certainly go out, review it, and request of the MTO, and or if it's on Barker Parkway, we could certainly do it ourselves. Any additional signage to warn people of that possible conflict as they enter that. Certainly we can. Yep.
That'll be very good. I mean, especially if we can put a Barker Parkway is getting too much crowded these days. And I've seen some youngsters basically zipping through the parkway into the main road. So maybe you could have something on the parkway as well.
Yeah, I would like to talk about Barker Parkway, and that is we plan on putting a whole bunch of stop signs out on Barker Parkway.
Perfect.
That it just didn't happen as part of the development right away, but it will happen. As a matter of fact, I believe there was a new one put out at the corner of Sunset and Barker Parkway just recently.
Right. Yeah.
And I believe almost every intersection on Barker Parkway is eventually going to have a stop sign.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thanks, Vikram. So question for Mr. Dunsmore real quick. If we want to make a suggestion to an MTO owned area, that would have to go through you and the city to ask them, right? Is that how that process would work if we?
Actually, it's probably better coming from council. If you make a recommendation to council to have us write a letter to the Ministry of Transportation asking for these improvements, that would probably hold more weight than me coming and telling them. I talk to them on a regular basis and they ignore me all the time. So.
Okay. All right. So you said you're gonna have your team go take a look around there. So maybe we should put this on the next agenda item. And Vikram, if we see that there's something that we need to recommend, then we'll do so on the next meeting. Is everyone okay with that?
Sure, we're fine with that. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Anybody else have any roundtable discussion items? Okay. And you guys can feel free to email after if you guys want to put something on the agenda yourselves. Please feel free to do so. Okay, so next meeting will be August 2nd, 2023 at 4 p.m. Eastern. And meeting is current time is 5:16 p.m. Oh, Carmen, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I have to run. I have to go pick up my kids to get them to basketball.
Yep, we're just ending right now.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Because I gotta book out. I don't mean to be rude.
It's okay. No, we went a little over. It's okay.
Thank you, everybody.
5:16 Thursday. Yeah, 5:16 May 3rd, 2023, and we are adjourned. Thanks everyone for your time, and we'll see you at the next meeting.